Hey guys, my name's Llama and today we are on with episode 3 of my 10,000 gold before Wrath of the Lich King challenge. And this one's a little bit of a rough one. I didn't have an awful lot of playtime in between the last episode and this one, due to real world commitments, most notably being that I've been at work pretty much all day every day since the last episode came out. However, I did find the occasional bit of time to do the odd little thing here and there, but every time I seemed to have the time to do so, I seemed to have something in-game that was more pressing or that had an opportunity to be done ahead of making gold. So we've made a bit more in terms of progress towards our other goals that we've set out in these previous episodes as opposed to the goals this episode around. However, we have made a decent chunk of gold along the way, and we'll run you down now over everything we've done towards getting ourselves to that 10,000 gold challenge mark. Just in case you missed last episode or you were curious and you've forgotten since you watched it, we are currently at the start of this episode, or the end of last episode, sat at 5,130 gold in overall value between the amount of gold we have in hand and the amount of gold we have in value on the auction house. So as long as that number's heading in the right direction, given how little playtime I had this time around, I am going to be a happy man. So that is the mark to beat. Let's see how we got on. So the first thing we did, as you can see on screen right now, is we did go back to restock our Marks of Sargeras and our Fell Armaments up at Legion Hold on our Rogue in Shadow Moon Valley. And this was something we had to do because we did actually get quite a lot of sales off of our marks as well. We still have a fair amount of them left over, but we sold our Fell armaments almost instantly in their entirety, and we have made a decent chunk into our marks as well, and as a result I felt it was the right time to come and restock, not least of which because at the time that I was doing this I didn't have a great deal of time to spare, so this was a nice easy one just to get us started, much like we did in episode 1. Following this, we did a little bit of levelling that later that evening, and that was on both our priest as we looked to get ourselves closer to level 70, now sitting at level 69, as well as on our shaman, who both of them had an opportunity to run a dungeon, so while the opportunity presented itself, I took that opportunity and got them a little bit closer to the levelling cap goals that we also have to do alongside our gold challenge. After we were done with our bit of levelling that we had the opportunity to do, we decided to test out doing a new farm, or at least new to this challenge, and that was going up into the Throne of Kil'jaeden and killing the fire elementals with a view to getting primal fires. And admittedly, I didn't stick to this farm for very long, even by my own standards of liking to stick to a farm for a little while when I first get there, even if it's somewhat poor, with a view to seeing if it's maybe just bad RNG or if I'm not doing it right or anything like that. But in truth, I've cherry-picked this footage that I'm showing you right now of my attempts at this farm simply because this was the best little streak I had of being able to actually get any mobs. I play on a practically dead realm, and even still, this was such a saturated farm, it proved to just not be viable for gold per hour because there was just too many people here. After we'd completed that, we went back over to hitting our levelling goals, which did obviously this time around, like I alluded to, get in the way of hitting our gold challenge, but we did get the opportunity to see how we would do in terms of making a bit of gold on the side while doing some high level levelling on our priest, before then getting very fortunate and having my guild happen to be having someone boosting some of our other guildies' low level alts through Shadowfang Keep, which was perfect for my shaman, and I was able to take the last spot in that boost, before then being allowed by my guild to come to their Mount Hydro raid and basically boost them through it. I kid, I was awful, but still, I went to Mount Hydro. And this is actually worth noting for the gold challenge, as it did involve a respec on my part to go from tank to DPS, which was obviously a 30 gold this time around negative to our overall amount that we are aiming to achieve. Fortunately, after all of that, we did manage to round this whole thing out with a bit of crafting. Now, one thing that I would like to note is that I'm showing you one of the craftings that we were doing here to keep on top of all of the things that we're liking to keep up on the auction house. But in truth, every time I get 10 minutes between waking up and going to work, or getting back in from work and going out to the gym or anything like that, I find myself basically checking what is sold and restocking it. So I'm not showing all of the crafting we do. That's something that obviously you'll be able to see in the ledger. Otherwise, this video would basically just be hours long of seeing me craft flasks. But with that said, let's go over to our bank and see how we've got on for this week's challenge. Okay, you join me now on my bank character where we're going to take a look at what we've got on the auction house still to sell and have a look as well at our overall gold as it stands. So right at this moment we're sat at 4,075 gold, so not massively disparate to where we were before. However, if we look on here, we are now looking at 1,568 gold in auction house value as well. So before we take a look at what we've sold that we'll have up on our Trade Skill Master in just a second, we're going to take a look at what we've still got to sell. We've got quite a few flasks going up for sale, as well as a lot of things that we've gathered from our low level character, our Shaman, while we've been leveling that you've seen already. We've got quite a lot in terms of items that are low value that are being made up from that Shaman. Quite a few more flasks. We've still got our Fell Iron Bombs. They're proving to be quite disappointing for us so far in terms of our sale rate. I did expect it not to be a particularly fast sale, but I did hope for a little bit better than what it's been so far. We keep getting undercut on our Spider Silk Boots, which I actually found quite surprising because they're level 20. They're not exactly a twink item. And that's even if there was a twink market, but for some reason I do seem to get undercut quite a lot. We've still got our Luminous Noble Topaz design to sell, a few more flasks, quite a lot more flasks in fact, and a few herbs that were the excess that we had left over when we've had to buy stacks of unfavourable size when it came to our crafting. But now more importantly, let's take a look at our TSM. Now, first things right off the bat, as we can see here, our gold challenge is going fairly well in terms of the fact that this line is being progressive in terms of our overall gold value. But if we take a quick look at our revenue, looking specifically at our auctions, because that's the one where we've really made the biggest difference. If we go back to about 3 days ago, because this is about the time when the filming ended for the previous episode that we'll have seen. So we sold some silver ore, large prismatic shard, quite a few flasks again, as was to be expected. We have got our sales for our hardened adamantite bars in there as well. That was actually pretty decent profit margin that we had on those. We did buy the adamantite because we didn't have any at the time, and this was something that we were just taking a look at, seeing if it was something that would work for us. So we bought a few and smelted it and made quite a lot of money. So that might actually be something we do either going forward with purchasing more adamantite or going back with our rogue into mana tombs, and rather than selling the adamantite directly, make ourselves some hardened adamantite bars. So quite a lot of marks of Sargeras, which is quite nice because we did have an awful lot of these sat around. We got a good amount of value for them as well, 33 silver per stack, per item. We sold the Dreamweave Vest. We've got some Arcane Dust, more flasks. They are always going to make up the majority of our returns. It is the steadiest thing, the one that we keep on top of in terms of our crafting. We sold a Fell Armament, or 4 even. We've sold yet again more flasks. Netherweave bags was one that we experimented with. I didn't know if there'd still be a market for them, and certainly whether there would be a profit margin. However, they have been selling very consistently, so as long as the cloth is either being gathered for myself or as long as I can get it fairly cheap, which it does fluctuate a little bit, so you can occasionally pick up large amounts of relatively cheap cloth, they're always going to be a decent money maker. Moving on up, as you can see, interspersed between everything that I'm mentioning, we have got an awful lot of low value, low level items that we got from leveling our Shaman that we're still trying to keep on top of. All this wool cloth and our copper ore and things of that nature. Moving on up, nothing all that interesting, got more flasks, and finally heading out with some silver ores, some Mossa Gates, which actually sold for really good value for as far as low level items that we got from our Shaman go. But all in all, that is not bad at all. If I set this the last 3 days, which is pretty much where it's been at since our last episode, you can see at the bottom here, maybe if I resize this for us, we have made 1,354 gold in total sales. That's obviously how much we've had come in. We've spent money as well, but that's how much has come through the mailbox for us in the last 3 days, which is not too bad at all. So just to reiterate then, we have got 4,075 gold currently in liquid gold, 1,568 on the auction house, for a total of just under 5,700 gold in overall net value, pushing on towards our goals that we have set for this 10,000 gold challenge. But that's going to about do it for this video, guys. I do hope that you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next one. Later.